I live far from the city limits, alone. As far as the eye can see lie trees, grass and wheat fields. There is one small road, which forms the border between my property and the wheat. There are also girders, lots of steel girders, each of them about 20 feet long. I don't know why they're here, they just are. Maybe there used to be a building here, and they left them behind when they destroyed the building. But I don't mind them. Well, that's only because I can't move them. They must weigh about 500 pounds apiece. Just me, my small house, and these girders, and my pig. I'm still not entirely sure why I even kept the pig. It just showed up on my doorstep one day, but I enjoy its presence. It gets lonely here sometimes. It was only a week ago when it started. I woke up that morning to find something very odd. A few of the steel girders had moved. About 10 of them were put into a line in front of my house, and I went to the other side of the road, which is pretty close to my house. What I didn't understand is how anyone could have moved one of the damn things. Maybe some punks from the city got a forklift and moved them that way. I did see a model once that doesn't make any sound. Maybe they found it and that's what moved them. The day after, I found a similar sight. All across the west of my house, 10 more girders were lined up, just like the others from the day before. I assumed those punks were just trying to freak me out. It didn't work. This was nothing more than some kids pissing off an old man. I thought nothing more about it and went back inside. The next day, 10 more girders were lined up at the back of my house. Nothing unusual. Wow, even after it happened, this surprises me. Nothing unusual. But even worse, my pig was dead, and in front of the house. It hung from the awning on the porch. Its legs were cut off and it was gutted. At the bottom of the steps, I found an even more unsettling sight. 3 of his legs were formed into an N, and his intestines made an O. His final leg, with a hoof cut off, located slightly below the leg, made an exclamation point. Altogether, it made an ominous no. I decided to sit outside that night and find the kids doing that crap. I wish I didn't. Then I could go on with my life, ignorant of what was really going on. I stayed up that night, rifle in hand and coffee pot on the table. My rifle could drop an elephant from a mile away, but I didn't dare fire at what I found. At around 2 o'clock in the morning, a dark figure came out of the forest. It took all 10 girders that weren't lined up at once and then lined them up, completing a square around my house. I was amazed. I could barely lift one of those alone, and it just lifted about 2.5 tons with one arm by itself. It then swept its head around, getting a view of the wheat fields of my house. I guess it didn't either see me, or it didn't recognize my rifle as a threat, because it just darted off into the trees. I'm no expert in speed, but when I had a car, I could barely even keep up the car within the speed limit, but that thing had to have been going over 100 miles an hour. The next morning held the most horrific event I had ever witnessed. A car came across the road from the distance. I decided that I could just make a run for it, jump into the back seat and tell the driver to gun it. Before I even got the chance though, it pounced. Straight out from the trees, it jumped high into the air and smashed down on the ground behind the car. This is the first time I could see it clearly. I didn't like what I saw. It was hunched over, but still looked like it was about 20 feet tall. Its legs were bent, but I'm not good at anatomy either, but I think those are tendons made for high jumping. If I hadn't seen it last night, I would think it was starving and emaciated. You could see all its bones through its skin. It had 6 eyes, 6 red eyes lined up across the front of its face. It took one slash at the car, and it flew into the marked off area that is now the boundary of my house. Upon impact with the ground, the thing was over there. It tore apart the metal hull of the car with ease. Before the driver could even finish his scream, the thing brought down its fist upon its head. You could see the blood splash out from the porch. The thing then proceeded to eat the body and then dash back into the trees. That was when I understood that I was that thing's captive, and the girders are my cage, and I'm permitted no visitors. I didn't particularly like being its canary, but at least that meant I didn't have to pay tax anymore. When the police came, the thing would just tear them apart, and I wasn't restricted at all. The only thing I couldn't do was pass the girders. but I'm getting tired of it. Even though the thing can tear my entire body into bite-sized pieces in a second and use my bones as toothpicks, I think I'm going to make a run for it. I have no more purpose in life except being the beast's pet. I won't stand for it. I'm just going to run.